Welcome everybody, it's Taormino here, and today's a great day because I'm going to be starting another new series for my YouTube channel. It's not going to be video game related, but it's going to be wrestling related. Now, I've been watching wrestling since I was a young child. I actually went and trained as a professional wrestler many years ago, but right out of high school. And I wanted to start talking about wrestling pay-per-views. It's something that I do, and I talk to my wife, but personally she's sick of hearing it already. So I figured I'd talk to you guys and let you guys hear what I have to say about pay-per-views. Maybe we can start a discussion on whether these pay-per-views are doing well, if they're not so successful. So I basically want to break down these pay-per-views in regards to talent and in storyline and in twists and turns and things like that. So to get this off, because it was a long pay-per-view, they had a special kickoff show of Miz TV that featured Finn Balor. Now, Finn Balor was apparently, from what I read, was injured. He had some sort of a concussion. Maybe it was mild or slight concussion. Either way, he was concussed at some point by Jinder Mahal in a match that he had in his comeback match on Monday Night Raw. So he's kind of been on the shelf slightly for about 30 days. So that's why we're seeing him on this kickoff show with The Miz. We probably expect to see him in some wrestling matches soon. It was nothing special, just like every single boring-ass Miz TV. Miz is just cocky and insulting, and then the person that he's insulting eventually beats them up. So that's what happened there. You didn't miss anything. Don't go back and watch it. Don't waste your time. Now, I don't know if these matches are going to be in order or out of order, because I'm reading the card right now from WWE's website. I forgot how they went. I just watched the pay-per-view. So next, the kickoff match was before the pay-per-view was Enzo and Cass, Big Cass, and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. It was nothing that was to write home about. I mean, it was a good wrestling match. Nothing really crazy. The crowd is still going ape for Enzo and Cass's intro. I mean, it's nuts. So it was nothing really heavily story related with that match. They Big Cass and Enzo ended up walking away with a win. If I'm not mistaken, Enzo won the match there, but I can't even recall the finish of that match. So then next we have the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match, and I can't say more praise for the Cruiserweight division in the WWE today. It is so incredible, and it reminds me of back in the day when they focused on the lightweight division or the cruiserweight division back in WWE and WCW and things like that. So it's really cool. Neville coming in as the champion versus Austin Aries. They have a huge back and forth battle. It was very hard hitting. They had some real stiff shots. Ultimately, in the end of that match, I mean, it had your suspected flying moments, hopping from the apron, diving from outside the ring or inside the ring to the outside of the ring, things like that. Things that they're known for. What happened at the very end was Austin Aries had Neville in his submission move. I don't know what it's called, but it's the one where he's got the cross around his neck and he's got the bridge on him. Neville couldn't get anywhere. He couldn't reach the rope, so he started kind of grabbing at the referee, and he pulled the referee on top of them, which broke the hold. The referee was like, hey, don't touch me. Call the match. That's it. You lose, buddy. So Austin Aries wins with a DQ. Because it was a championship match, Neville still walks away with the championship there. So at the end of the day, Neville doesn't really have a loss on his column in regards to his character per se, because it doesn't really make him look bad because he didn't really get beat in the match. Austin Aries still is on the up and up because he still gets to win in his column, but unfortunately he doesn't walk away with the championship. Next, we have a very hard-hitting tag team match for the tag team titles. The Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. Now, if you're like me, you've watched the Hardy Boys wrestle 1,001 times. You know what to expect with them. The only thing that was different was me, like when I'm watching, that is, I'm just screaming delete at the screen every time Matt Hardy does something to hit somebody on the screen. The big thing within this match was there's a point in the match, and I'm going to put a video here. So if you don't like people losing their teeth, you may want to close your eyes when the video comes up, or at least cover a portion of the screen. So Sheamus is backed into the Hardy corner, right? Matt Hardy is in the corner on the rope. He's holding his rope. He's on the turnbuckles, so he's not doing anything. He's standing there. He's not cheap shotting Sheamus or anything. Jeff Hardy is on all fours, parallel to the wrestling ropes. Sheamus was stumbling because he just got hit with a jawbreaker. Goes to line up to kick Jeff Hardy in the face. I'm assuming it was supposed to be the ribs. Jeff Hardy, I personally think Jeff Hardy wasn't positioned properly. And Sheamus ends up kicking him right in the frickin' face. You can watch the video. You can see his tooth flying out of his mouth. His tooth just goes pew. It is crazy. Jeff Hardy, still a savage that he is, continues to wrestle like a badass. And what happens towards the end, they do a tag where Matt Hardy bumps into Jeff. Jeff tags himself in. Sheamus then knocks down Matt, pins him, and then Jeff Hardy swanton bombs Sheamus in the back as he was covering Matt Hardy. Picks up the cover, wins, keeps the championships on the Hardys' end. I'm sorry, my nose is itchy. So Sheamus and Cesaro continue to get up, shake the Hardys' hand, raise their hands as the victors, and then they walk away from the ring. And then, as you would expect, finally, Sheamus and Cesaro run back to the ring to perform an old-school beatdown on the Hardys. They beat him up in and outside the ring. Matt Hardy's cut somewhere. He's bleeding on his face. Jeff Hardy's missing a tooth. I mean, these guys just really took it to him. So, at the end of the day, Hardy Boys walked away with the championships, while Cesaro and Sheamus walk away with Jeff Hardy's tooth. All right? Honestly, I don't know what was grosser in that match, watching Jeff Hardy's tooth fly out of his mouth or watching the referee having to pick it up and put it in his pocket. So then next, we have the WWE Women's Championship match. Raw Women's Championship. My nose is so itchy. I don't know why. The WWE Raw Women's Championship match between Bayley and Alexa Bliss. Now, before I get into the match, I have an Amazon Dot in my house. So whenever, like, Alexa, add... I don't want to say too loud because she's going to hear me. She's going to be like, what are you talking about? Be like, Alexa, add, like, toilet paper to the grocery list. And then she adds it. Or, like, Alexa, play, like, rock music. She'll turn on the rock music. But whenever we say Alexa, she triggers me. She's like, what the hell do you want? So every time the commentators are commentating on this match, they're like, Alexa Bliss, Alexa Bliss, Alexa Bliss. My freaking thing that keeps dinging and dinging and dinging and dinging. I'm just like, oh my goodness, Alexa Bliss is awesome in this match. It's dinging. My wife's telling me, stop saying Alexa. The thing's freaking dinging and dinging it. Oh, jeez. All right. So anyway, the match. I'm from San Jose, California, born and raised in San Jose, California. Bayley is from San Jose, California. When I trained in wrestling, I trained with a company called Pro Wrestling Iron. The sister school was BTW, Big Time Wrestling. Bayley came from Big Time Wrestling. That's where she started her training. Personally, I do not think that she's up to par on her mic skills or in the ring to be holding the WWE Raw Women's Championship match. This isn't a personal thing. This isn't a vendetta. This isn't whatever. I'm just looking at her skills on the microphone and in her ring work, and I'm not seeing it. I'm no expert, obviously, because I'm not in the wrestling ring day to day. You know what I mean? She's more of a fit person to be in the ring than me, but just from me observing, I don't see it. Alexa Bliss carries her throughout the match very well. The match would have completely dropped if Alexa could not carry Sasha here. Not Sasha, Jesus Christ. Bayley, not Sasha. So Alexa Bliss is Alexa Bliss. She capitalizes on an opportunity in which Bayley gets forcibly shoved into one of the in-ring posts, and then Alexa Bliss comes in with the DDT and drops her and walks away with the championship. So we've made history tonight. Alexa Bliss is the very first woman to be the WWE SmackDown Women's Champion and the WWE Raw Women's Champion. So congratulations to Alexa Bliss. She's gone a long, long way. The United States Championship match with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Boring. I like Chris Jericho. He came out with his sash with all the lights. It looked like it was Christmas time. Nothing too special, although there was a twist that I didn't expect at the end. So, when Kevin Owens comes out, because they're showing like this, the face of America, and I'm Canadian, but I'm the face of America because I'm the United States champion. So they put his face on the banner up top, right? And then they put his face on the ring ramp. But when the camera is face down and his face is on the mat or on the ramp, it's got this downward angle, right? I'm looking at myself in the camera just to make sure that I was properly had my hands correct. He looked like an ogre orc, like misshapen Humpty Dumpty Doo head. It was the silliest thing. It looked stupid. He looked like a stupid idiot. He looked really dumb, and it's not his fault. It's just from the angle of the camera to the way that his face was on the ramp. Like if you're looking straight down on the ramp, it'd be great, but you weren't. That's not how things work. It was looking down this way, and it made it look really, really silly when he came out. So I really hope that they don't do that again. So Kevin Owens again in a normal back and forth match with Chris Jericho. It was pretty hard hitting on Kevin Owens' end. Jericho was taking a lot of licks in the beginning. Eventually, Jericho throws Kevin Owens on the walls of Jericho. Kevin Owens gets his one little finger on the rope, just like he did at Mania. And Jericho just gets livid. He then turns into like a heel wrestler for like 5 minutes and beats the holy heck out of Kevin Owens, throws him outside the ring, sticks his arm in between the ring and the steel steps, and proceeds to run and kick the steel steps, crushing Owens' arm. Throws him back in the ring. They scuffle slightly more. Throws him back into the walls of Jericho. And as Kevin Owens tries to crawl with that busted arm that he just did the little finger thing again as an insult, he couldn't reach his arm to the rope again. And Jericho made Kevin Owens tap out. I didn't expect that. I thought Kevin Owens was going to walk away the champion. Jericho was eventually going to fall into the darkness because he's going to go back on tour with Fozzy very soon. So I expected him not to be the next champion for the United States. But so Jericho ends up walking away as the United States champion. Jericho now moves from Raw to SmackDown, and Kevin Owens from SmackDown back to Raw, so the championship stays on SmackDown. So that's another thing. If this video is not too long, I'll talk about what I think. And then the Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe match. It was very Samoa Joe-like. Samoa Joe was coming in with a lot of kicks and a lot of strikes, a lot of grapples. A typical Samoa Joe match where he was heavily dominant in the match. Seth Rollins kind of fighting back within moments, but then eventually Samoa Joe getting one over on him and wearing Seth Rollins down. Eventually, through a lot of the back submission where he would have Seth Rollins in like a rear naked choke, or well, I know that's not a banned move, but like when you have him in chokeholds from behind, Seth Rollins would then drop backwards and go into a bridge and push his body weight onto Samoa Joe and his shoulders on the mat. He did it a couple times and was able to get the pinfall on Samoa Joe. So they both walk away positive. Samoa Joe was very dominant in the match and only lost by luck in regards to Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins won via luck and just got lucky in that one moment and caught a break on Samoa Joe. They both looked positive in the end. But again, there was nothing really crazy about that match. Nothing that would if you were to sit there and watch it, you'd probably tune out halfway through the match because it wasn't any different than you would see on Raw or SmackDown. And then 2 more matches. Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. I'm going to save the House of Horrors match for last. This is the main event. Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes out all beat up, all taped up, coming out, Superman punching like there's no tomorrow, just like it's WrestleMania, fight against The Undertaker, because that's the only move that Roman Reigns knows. He's just going to Superman punch, a Superman punch, a Superman punch. Braun Strowman still comes in there and beats the holy heck out of Roman Reigns, and shockingly, very quickly, gets the 3 count on Roman Reigns. Eventually, after the match was done, he then pulled the ring steps out, then dropped Roman Reigns on the ring steps, smashed his chest with the ring steps a couple times. Roman Reigns has got some internal bleeding. It's coming out of his mouth. And then they're going to, they're trying to put him on a stretcher. He's refusing it this time. And then the pay-per-view ended. And then do the Raw talk is what it's called, the talking show after the pay-per-view, like the Talking Dead kind of. They had an altercation in front of the ambulance. They had the two doors open on the ambulance van, and Roman Reigns just standing near one, and then Braun Strowman ran at him, and he moved out of the way, and he took the whole freaking door off, and that was basically it. And then he slammed the door on him. That was it. So nothing special. Roman Reigns loses, which is weird. You'd think that he'd come back and he'd win, but they're still pushing Braun Strowman hard, and a lot of fans are liking it. They even chanted, "Thank you, Strowman," after he beat Roman Reigns tonight in the House of Horrors match. The House of Horrors match. Let me say this again. The House of Horrors match. Okay? Sorry, I hit the microphone there. It starts out like a horror movie. Randy Orton arrives at this desolate house in the middle of nowhere, which in San Jose, there are no houses that look like this in the boonies. Just saying. All these houses in San Jose are like a minimum $750,000 to $1 million. So I don't know where this boondoggle of a house in the sticks came from. All right? He drives up to the house in a limousine. Limousine driver just waits there. He walks up to the house. He sees Bray Wyatt as the lights turn on down the hallway in the house through the cracked blinds. The lights get really bright, and then all of a sudden Randy Orton kicks down the door, or he kicks it open rather. And then he walks in. Door slams behind Randy Orton. Randy Orton doesn't know. And it's got live in the corner, by the way. So it says that this is live. It's got all these different angles on Randy Orton, and it's got like all these little trippy things like they do in the Bray Wyatt promos, which are awesome, by the way. But this is live, and they got these little trippy things going off. Lights are going crazy, like different angles of Randy Orton coming in and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Bray Wyatt comes in and goes, "Welcome to my home, Randy." I mean, he doesn't sound like Bane, but I mean, that's just what I was mocking him while I was watching this. He's like, "Welcome to hell," and like beat him up, and then Randy Orton beat up Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt disappeared, and then Randy Orton like walked into like another room of the house instead of leaving, because this is just creepy. He's the freaking champion. Like, call the terms to your own damn match. Like, this is the like why are you just wandering into this strange home? What if this is like, I mean, they did a better job with Brian Pillman, just saying. Anyway, so then he walks in his room, there's like baby dolls hanging from the ceiling, and then there's like kids talking in the background, like legit like kids like, and it's like, this is all live, and it's got different crazy angles and stuff, and it's got a baby hanging from the ceiling, and it's got scissors in its chest, and there's one with two heads on it, and the Bray Wyatt comes out, and the Sister Abigail's get through the wall, and then it's just like, then they fight into the kitchen, and then they're gonna hit each other with pans, and then like there's dishes everywhere, and like Randy Orton's throwing his head into the sink because he didn't do the dishes properly. They're all filthy dishes, and then Bray Wyatt he tips over a fridge on top of Randy Orton, but then all of a sudden when he starts tipping the fridge, there's a camera angle from the freaking ceiling that gets the fridge coming down on Randy Orton. This is all live, by the way. So then all of a sudden, Bray Wyatt saunters to the limousine and then asks them to take him to the arena. And then they have like a match in between. And then Bray Wyatt stumbles out to the ring. It takes his little lantern, blows it out. Randy Orton's behind him. Then Randy Orton beats him with a chair. Starts like gives him he try to give him a Sister Abigail. Then does the Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere thing, or prepares for the Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere. Then the Bollywood boys show up from Jinder Mahal's guy, and then Jinder Mahal comes out with a championship that he stole from Randy Orton and beats him with it a couple times, and then Bray Wyatt gives him the Sister Abigail, and Bray Wyatt wins. That's it. Bray Wyatt's still on Raw. They're teasing a feud between him and Finn, and then you got Jinder Mahal that's going to be fighting, because he's the number 1 contender, Randy Orton for the SmackDown Championship. So that's a Backlash. Video's long enough already, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Let me know what you guys think about the pay-per-view. Personally, I give it a C for the boring matches. And the House of Horrors match was the worst horror movie that I've ever seen. It was legit a horror movie. They're like, "Randy Orton, you want an acting role?" "Sure, I want an acting role. I've done everything else." "Sweet, then we got the perfect story for you." Worst horror movie ever. Wasn't even a wrestling match. Wasn't even a wrestling match. Let me know what you guys think about the horror match. I don't know what's worse, watching Jeff Hardy get his tooth kicked out, or watching this freaking House of Horrors match again. I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. House of Horrors match.